Hey everybody, I'm Invisiblekatana, and of course with it being E3 week, there are a lot of new IPs that have been announced, lots of new footage for games that may have been announced a while back, but we had like a simple, CG trailer, so we finally got gameplay, lots of new information for a lot of different franchises, a lot of, new things as well. And I thought it would be cool to just talk about a lot of the different games that I've seen. They're pretty much all, I like them, so it's kind of why I'm talking about them. But it'll be, there's a lot of new stuff that's come out. Some stuff is in classic genres. Some stuff, I mean, it's hard to, no one's going to invent a brand new genre, but lots of new things, coming out. Some stuff really cool, but, we all have our own opinions. So I wanted to do a couple of different videos, starting off with Days Gone. And with Days Gone, honestly, when it first showed up at the conference, I was like, okay, this seems interesting. I just thought it looked okay. Like the trailer, I was like, okay, it seems it's kind of post-apocalyptic. You can tell, the whole narration is about how the world kind of fell apart. Like the power went out and turbines shut down, and the feds ran out of body bags because people kept dying and stuff. So it's like, all right, clearly it's a post-apocalyptic game, and we have our main character, who is played by Sam Witwer, who every time I see him I just think of Star Wars because he was Starkiller in the Force Unleashed games. So we have Starkiller now, as like a biker, and I thought this seems interesting. It's like a post-apocalyptic thing where it's him and basically his biker gang. That's kind of what I thought it was. It was just a post-apocalyptic thing where you were a part of this biker gang and you guys try to survive. I really thought, I didn't even think about it being a virus or anything like that. I just thought people were dying. That's a long time ago, so that's, that's done. And now it's people just trying to survive, and you try to survive with your biker gang, and it's just like the end of the world, but, there are no zombies. And that's just how I thought it was. A bunch of people died. They were going to survive. The trailer was like, basically he was sad that he lost his girlfriend and stuff. And it was like, okay, this seems kind of normal and it's post-apocalyptic. We'll, see what happens. A ton of people thought it was The Last of Us 2, and a lot of people thought it was by Naughty Dog. Which I don't know who it's by because I haven't looked at the footage again, so I don't know exactly who did this. But it does look, visually it does look a lot like The Last of Us, which I thought was kind of funny. But going through it, I was like, like I said, the trailer, I thought, this looks okay. Like, it seems interesting. I'm a little curious, but it's not like, it didn't really do anything for me. And then, they have the ending gameplay, and it turns out that this is actually a zombie game. A post-apocalyptic, zombie game. And for most people that I've seen, they're excited for it. I personally loved it. I love zombie games. I don't really get tired of them. This, I think, as many games as we have with like really fast zombies and stuff, like Left 4 Dead, we don't have that really in this style. Like the closest that we really have to that, I guess, probably would be The Last of Us in an odd sense. Like as an actual open world game, like Left 4 Dead, you can get surrounded by a bunch of those, and there are tons of them, of course, but it's not really scary. It's like you're playing a 4-player co-op game, and even when it first came out, it wasn't like it was that, a really big horror game. It kind of was, because of course there were zombies. But it was never like, this is terrifying or anything. It's like, you can kind of just make it through. Like, you're going from point A to point B. Some of the levels can be creepier than other levels for sure, especially in 2, like they have the swamp level with the fog. So it can get creepy in those games without a doubt. But when I saw the footage, I loved it. I was like, this has me excited now. Like, it was kind of okay, and I was curious to see where they were going with it. And then I saw that footage at the end, and I was like, I love this. I think this actually looks really amazing. It's, like World War Z, the video game, which is actually pretty cool. I never saw that movie because I didn't care. But the visuals of it were pretty awesome. And seeing that in video game form, where this is one dude just by himself, just shooting up all these zombies. Like, he's shooting up rows and rows of zombies, but it just doesn't look like he's taking any of them down because there are so many, coming after him. And I love that. I know some people didn't like it. I'm sure a ton of people don't like it because of, the zombie aspect and how people say, zombies are played out and this and that. But I'm a sucker for it, so I was like, I don't even care. It's almost like the new Spider-Man game. I don't care if he's had 100 million games, which he has. I want that new Spider-Man game. It's kind of the same thing with zombie games. As long as it looks cool, at least, and that look cool to me because it's like you're trying to survive, and then it's not like other zombie games like you play The Last of Us. It's like, hey, we got to be careful. There's like 3 or 4 clickers around, which is like one hit kills and stuff like that. This is like there are 1,000 zombies. It looked like it might as well have been 1,000,000. It's like as fast as they were like piling on each other, it almost looked like they were literally spawning as they were running almost. So just visually how it looked and the way it played out, where it's like there is no escape or anything like that. There is no really fighting back. It's like you run and you hold them off for like a split second, and then their weight will break through stuff, which is one of my favorite things as well. When I believe it's when he like climbs to the top part of the barn, and there's like a little wooden bridge to kind of connect the two sides, and there's so many zombies running across, the bridge actually snaps and breaks under the weight, but there's so many they literally just pile on top of each other as they fall, and they just keep running over each other, and then eventually they make it to the other side. And I was like, I love that idea. It adds a unique dynamic to the zombie element that we don't really see in video games. And I played a lot of zombie games. I can't really think of any that have had the idea where the actual combined weight of these creatures has an effect on the real world. And I love that idea. You can try to funnel them into locations, stuff like that. Maybe if you're fighting, if you're having like a crazy 3-way battle, it's you and your buddies, and then there's some other random people you're dealing with, and then here come 158,000 zombies coming at you. It's like, okay, well, they're on the wood bridge. Let's run and try to follow after them. Maybe they escape, but we'll escape too because this bridge is going to collapse because there's a bunch of zombies on it. So there are a lot of different elements and stuff like that, and maybe we get around them to the other side of the bridge and trap them in the middle, and we just shoot them up or something, or at that point you would probably just destroy the bridge. But we shoot them up and let the zombies try to come in, and that way we can get rid of like at least 40 zombies from the world. We could try to. They just fall off fall down a ravine or something. And I just like that idea. I thought it was a really cool concept. Like I said, I know some people didn't like it because, of course, it's a zombie thing. I know Angry Joe didn't like it. He kind of hated it. Like, he thought it was cool at first, and then he hated it. We kind of have the reverse opinions. He didn't like that it was another zombie game. I love that it was. And it just looks unique, which is crazy. And that's probably another thing about it. Like, it's a zombie game, and yet it looks amazing. Like, it looks unique to me. Like, there's every zombie game pretty much has it where it's like, oh, we close the door down to keep them locked out, and then we load up and we go to the next section of the game. This is one section in this. You close the door to, block them off. That crap doesn't work. They get the 3 little bangs on the door. That thing comes down, and you're running again. And I just love that concept. It's very frantic. It's just different. It's not like other games. It's not like, oh, we did it. We got through... we put the metal door down. Like, there are 180 zombies coming after you, and they're just running at this door, and all that pressure is just going to pop that door wide open. It doesn't matter what it's made out of. It's coming down, and I just love that idea. We really haven't seen much of it. We had the little bit of the story from the trailer, and how our character is in a biker gang, and how he lost the woman that he loved, and how he... Excuse me. I would assume he was there, based on the way it looks, at least, and the way they did the narration, it seemed like he was much younger when everything actually happened. But when they did the flashback and it was him on the bike with his girlfriend, it seemed very recent. So I'm thinking she dies maybe either within the gameplay or like just before the gameplay starts, or they'll probably do like, oh, it was just a year ago or whatever. But I feel like the way they do it was like, do I remember this or do I remember that, and I remember when the lights went out and all this other stuff. I would say this couldn't be more than maybe 5 years old, like this actual apocalypse that they're having. I don't think it could be more than 5 years old, just the way that they kind of describe it, where he's like, I remember all this stuff happening, and either he was really young when it did happen, or it's a very recent thing. So those are kind of the two options. Like either it happened a long time ago and maybe he was actually a kid and he grew up in this world, or it happened fairly recently, which I think is that, because he was in the biker gang beforehand, clearly. I'm like, well, you never know. He could have joined the biker gang. They could have still, kept a biker gang going for whatever reason, I guess. But I'm assuming, based on the fact that it kind of seems like he's with a biker gang and stuff like that, it's a fairly recent event, or at least recent enough where it's like he was in the biker gang before the apocalypse, and so he stayed with them. So it's probably only like 5 or so years old, and then he lost his girlfriend in between that time, which may or may not we may or may not see that in the game, but I feel like we won't, just because of the trailer. But at the same time, the fact that she was in the trailer makes me think that we will see her, or they'll do something where we get to see her more than just in the trailer and that's it, and like pictures and little stuff. So she's gonna be in the game somewhere. So it'll either be flashbacks or we will actually play the portion. Maybe we'll get an hour or whatever, or 2 hours, and then she dies as we play the game, and then we keep going from there. So, of course, I have to wait and see. But the whole point of this video is to know what you guys thought about it. I mean, I thought the gameplay looked pretty cool. They had the little thing where he, went into the car and he took something out and he made a suppressor for his handgun. He had, like, an assault rifle, which I'm assuming had a suppressor on it as well, because it was like, so I just assumed, I was like, well, that sounds weird, so I'm just assuming it has a suppressor. Otherwise they didn't put that sound in and they just left it out when they put the demo together. They just forgot to add the gun sound effect or something. So I'm just assuming that was a suppressor on the front of the gun, even though it didn't look like it. But I wasn't really focusing on it. I'd have to check again. But I enjoyed this one. Like I said, I think the gameplay is what got me, because I love zombie games, and it was more how it looked. If it was another random zombie game and it was like, oh, he shot a couple of zombies up or whatever, that's nothing. Like, who gives a crap? It's a couple of zombies. It's every other zombie game. It's a couple of them. Let's run a little bit, turn around, shoot that, and then we escape. This was it looked like 1,000 zombies all at one time coming at him, and it's like, I can't, there's no realm of existence, even in the game world, unless you put on like God mode, where you're going to survive that type of moment. So he has to take off. They break through a freaking train car, which, that says it enough right there. This is a game where there's so many zombies running at you to, try to reach you, that they're breaking through train car doors and stuff like that. So it hooked me. Once I saw that, and just visually how it looked with the zombies piling over each other and the high fidelity and stuff like that, and it's like, it's the super amped up version of Dead Rising, which already has, like, you see hundreds of zombies, but, when you look at them together, it's like, man, as much as I love Dead Rising, I'd kind of rather play Days Gone, just for the actual horror aspect of it, where it's almost like playing a game like Outlast or something, where it's like, you don't have a weapon, and you're dealing with these insanely powerful enemies that'll kill you, and you just have to run from them. And yet, in this, you actually have a weapon, and you still kind of have to just take off, because there's so many that, even if you had, like, a rocket launcher with 18 rockets in it, based on what I saw from that gameplay demo that they showed us, that wouldn't have really mattered. He still would have been on the run. And then especially at the end, when they're trying to come at him from the bridge, and they're all on the ground and everything around the silo that he's standing on, it's like, man, even if he had a ton of rockets, he'd still have to find a way to really make it work, because even then, he's surrounded, and it just looked insanely beautiful to me. It was like, it's the more frantic version of Dead Rising, and I love that idea. Like, that's a very, very simple way to describe it, but it just has me excited. And I am curious what the story's going to be, because I don't know if that guy, it seemed like that guy was a part of his biker gang, because he was, actually looking for him. And I don't think he knew that the guy took off until he got tackled. So I was like, okay, there's, kind of the dynamics of what the characters are going to be like as far as this biker gang, and how the end of the world might change this really tight-knit, family relationship, that they kind of had even, before, because of their biker gang. So I like that idea, and I am curious if, they stuck together, will they do that? Will they include other rival biker gangs where it's like, we never liked you guys before the, outbreak, and even after the outbreak, we're still rivals. So that's something I'm curious about. How much of the um, biker gang dynamic will really, how much that'll really affect the story and gameplay as well, and how often will we be alone? How often will we be with partners and stuff like that? So there's still a million questions because we only got one trailer and the snippet of really cool gameplay. But I really enjoyed this one. Of course, as far as the title of this video goes, yay or nay for you guys, I would say yay. I'm excited for this one. I just love visually how it looked. The zombies, it was World War Z zombie style video game, and I never would have thought I wanted that, but seeing it, I was like, yeah, I want that. I definitely want that. Just seeing it, it was like it kind of blew me away, and that's not something you think you'd ever hear about a zombie game these days. Like, it blew me away, but it really did, and it just surprised me. And Dead Rising kind of did the same thing too, to be totally honest. But there comes more from the crazy contraptions because we know that they can fit hundreds of zombies on there now, and we know how it's always going to be because those are always going to be slow-moving zombies, and that's pretty much how the game goes. We have our crazy psychos to move around really fast and have a ton of health. So this is like all on the zombie level. Plus there's still humans that we will have to deal with as well. Just like, Last of Us and anything post-apocalyptic. If there's monsters, there's still a bunch of douchebag humans that are going to try to kill you too. So of course we'll have a bunch of that, as we get closer to the release, I guess. But definitely enjoyed it myself. So like I said, of course, I would say yay for this one, but I definitely want to know what you guys thought about it. Yay or nay? Do you want to see this game come out? Did it lose you with the gameplay, kind of like with Angry Joe, where he was like, it seemed cool to him, but then it became a zombie game. He was like, this sucks now. Was it like me, where I thought it looks okay, and then it looked amazing because of the gameplay? Like, I want to know how it affected you guys based on what you saw, like the trailer more, like the gameplay more, yay or nay for this one. So please, definitely want to know what you guys thought about it. So please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.